Hello and welcome back to SiGMA TV. We're 1 month away from our digital conference, so if you haven't yet, be sure to register and reserve your place for hours of engaging content that's free to join. In this episode, Yanni Collins is joined by Climent, founder of Bluesea Gaming, and they'll be taking a look at COVID-19's impact on the gaming industry in Asia and some of the challenges moving forward.
Hello and welcome back to SiGMA TV. Joining us here today is Climent of Oneblock Technologies, here to share his insights about the impacts of the COVID-19 on the iGaming industry here on Asia.
It is obvious that data consumption has boomed during the lockdown period. And then that fundamentally one could assume it is good for our industry. If we relate it to our industry, to the online gaming industry in emerging markets, in the short term, there's definitely an increase in online gaming revenues, just because of the sheer volume of data being consumed at this point, and the increase in those volumes, right? Especially for verticals like table games, online casino, esports, online lottery, peer-to-peer, any kind of peer-to-peer network games. Obviously, anything not linked with live sports events. So, due to this lack of live sport events, I would say that the sports betting community globally feels orphan of content. So, a percentage of those users for sure will go to verticals, will go to these verticals that I was mentioning before, to try to find a substitute. So for sure, anyone relying on any live sport content is already having to pivot, is already forced to pivot on something. In the long run, I think if this situation drags on globally, and economies globally, enter into a recession, and just using common sense, I would say that there is likely to be a reduction in volumes, as disposable income of users will be reduced, and that income will be used for other basic needs. But if you ask me how I fundamentally think this COVID-19 situation is going to change our industry, or is changing our industry, I think is from a user perspective. Uh, from a user perspective, I would say that users want, and users will want to get entertained longer period of times for less money. And that's I think is a great opportunity. There's huge opportunities there. I believe we are in a process where efficiency, where sustainability, where adaptability will play a crucial role in your proposition in the future, to define who are the next champions of any industry, not only on our industry but any industry. So user definitely will become more aware of value for money. Value for money. They will look at a better value to get entertained more time for less money. So yeah, time duration of gaming sessions, and financial sustainability of your proposition, I think, is where the battleground will be.
With Oneblock being the advisory firm specializing on disruptive technology and emerging markets globally, how can companies survive this COVID-19 situation?
I think everyone is fighting their own battle at this point to try to pivot. But certainly, I think that companies that take the least time to adapt to this new situation will be the ones surviving, and in some cases, not only surviving but also even thriving. I think it's a good idea also to increase your tolerance to frustration in this process, while you try to understand and foresee what the new normal will look like, what your new client will look like. And I would suggest, definitely, if you haven't yet looked at emerging markets and developing economies as key markets for growth for your business in the future, I think that it's a must at this point, because our companies believe that this is where one of the few growth opportunities will lie in the near future. The good news is that hunger to get entertained will not change, right? I think not only will not change, but possibly it will increase. But as we were saying before in our previous answer, the user will become extremely picky and educated on choosing where to spend their time and money. So I would say also it's a good idea to speak to your customer right now. Speak to them, and try to understand their situation, their struggle, their point of view, and understand what they want now, what situation they are in now. So maybe cooperatively you can come up with solutions on how to get out of the situation and make the most of it.
Albert, you've been in the industry for more than a decade, and now looking ahead at the movements in the industry, what particular trends have you seen and how do you see that moving forward?
I think emerging markets and developing economies is where the future is. I mean, people who know me and my companies, everybody knows that we've been a great believer of emerging markets for the past 15 years. Regions like the Indian subcontinent and Africa is where we believe the future growth opportunities lie. Basically, for two reasons. One is already reports indicate that this kind of economies, the Indian subcontinent especially, will be one of the economies that will bounce back quicker. And besides that, there's a cultural, I would say, idiosyncratic factor on these markets that I think makes these markets better equipped to deal with change and new environments. And number two, we are huge believers of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, and that's well known as well. And in these markets, in developing countries and emerging markets, as internet penetration kicks in rural India, rural India or in rural Africa, and also their transactional capabilities via cryptocurrencies increase and are accessible to these segments. I think the opportunities are unbelievable, are huge. So I think that everyone is going to actively start targeting these regions as a core strategy for revenue in their future. That's what I think is gonna be one of the main trends. Groups and companies are gonna be less risk averse towards approaching these markets with a definite strategy.